I stood to give a birthday toast at my sister's party, and she cut me off mid-sentence. "Hannah, please. No one wants to hear another one of your boring stories. This is my night." The entire table erupted in laughter. I stood there frozen, holding my glass, feeling every pair of eyes on me. That was the moment I decided to stop pretending their cruelty didn't matter. "My name's Hannah. I'm 26 years old. I work as a research assistant at a university lab. It's a steady job. Nothing flashy, nothing that makes people gasp at dinner parties. For as long as I can remember, I've been the invisible sister. My younger sister Becca? She's loud. She's popular. She's got thousands of Instagram followers and a closet full of designer bags. I'm the one with the modest apartment and the beat-up Honda. I'm the one who spent years trying to earn my family's respect. But every time I tried, I was dismissed. Too quiet, too serious, too boring. I used to believe that if I just worked harder, stayed humble, kept my head down, they'd eventually notice me. They'd eventually see I mattered. I wasn't the one with the glamorous life or the perfect selfies, but I had something none of them saw coming. If you've ever been the invisible one in your family, drop your location in the comments. I read every single one. Because what happened next? It changed everything. Becca's 24th birthday dinner was at this upscale Italian restaurant downtown, the kind with white tablecloths and waiters in vests. My parents invited the whole extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone. I showed up with a gift I'd spent weeks picking out, a vintage leather journal with her initials engraved on the cover. I thought it was meaningful, personal. Becca barely glanced at it. "Oh, thanks, hon. I'm sure it's nice." She tossed it onto the gift pile like it was junk mail. That should have been my first warning. When we sat down for dinner, I realized something was off. Everyone else was clustered at the center of the long table, laughing and clinking glasses. I was seated at the very end, next to 2 empty chairs and the waiter station. I thought maybe it was a mistake. Then I overheard my mother talking to my aunt. "We put Hannah there so she won't bring down the mood. You know how she is." My stomach twisted. I said nothing, just smiled, picked up my menu. Dinner went on. Becca held court at the center of the table, telling stories, posting photos, soaking up all the attention. Then she stood up, glass in hand. "I have an announcement. I'm applying for this amazing fellowship in Europe, fashion journalism, Geneva." The table exploded with cheers. My father raised his glass high. "To Becca, the only one of our daughters with real ambition." I felt my face go hot. I tried to join the conversation, mentioned my own work at the lab. Becca cut me off immediately. "Hannah, researching plant cells isn't exactly glamorous. Let's keep this fun, okay?" The table laughed. Not polite chuckles, real laughter. Like I'd told a joke. My hands shook under the table. Then, as dessert arrived, Becca announced she'd already applied to the fellowship months ago. "And I'm totally going to get it. I can feel it." More applause, more toasts. What none of them knew? I'd applied to the same organization, different division, biomedical research. And I'd already gotten my answer. After dinner, things got worse. The family gathered around Becca for photos. A professional photographer my parents had hired started arranging everyone. I moved to join them. My mother physically waved me aside. "Hannah, just step back for a minute. We want the main family first." I stood there watching as they took photo after photo. 15 shots, maybe more. Becca in the center glowing, my parents on either side, aunts and uncles crowding in. When they finally called me over, I was placed at the very edge. Half my face got cropped out. I heard my cousin whisper to her boyfriend. "Why'd they even invite her?" I pretended I didn't hear. Then came the gifts. Becca tore through them one by one, squealing over jewelry and handbags and spa vouchers. When she got to mine, the leather journal, she held it up and made a face. "A notebook? Hannah, I work on my phone. This is so you." My aunt jumped in. "Well, Hannah's always been a bit behind the times, hasn't she?" Becca kept going. "I mean, look at her. Same haircut since high school, same boring outfits. Some of us actually evolve." More laughter. My father shook his head, smiling. "Your sister's just practical, Becca. Someone has to be the boring, responsible one." Boring. That word. 3 times in 2 minutes. I forced a smile, said nothing. The party moved to my parents' house for after-dinner drinks. I thought maybe I could just slip out, go home. But my mother pulled me aside in the kitchen. She handed me an apron. "Be a dear and help serve drinks? You know how Becca gets anxious hosting." I stared at her. "Mom, I'm a guest too." Her expression went cold. "Don't be difficult. This is your sister's special night." So I ended up in the kitchen, washing glasses, prepping trays, serving cocktails. Through the doorway, I could see Becca holding court in the living room. Everyone laughing at her stories, doting on her. I checked my phone while rinsing champagne flutes. There was an email, a reminder. "Fellowship orientation, September 14th. See you soon." Something shifted inside me. I was done. Done being their servant. Done being invisible. What they didn't know was this. 3 months earlier, I'd applied to the International Biomedical Research Fellowship. Same organization Becca applied to. Different division. My application was backed by 2 of the most renowned professors in my field. My research on autoimmune disease treatment had been published in a major medical journal, while Becca posted 95 Instagram photos about her application, documenting every step. I told no one. I kept my acceptance letter folded in my bag. The acceptance rate? 2%. Out of over 3,000 applicants. The fellowship included full funding, a living stipend, and relocation to Geneva for 3 years. I'd been waiting for the right moment to tell my family. I wanted it to be special, gentle, private. But after tonight, they didn't deserve gentle. They deserved the truth, exactly as raw as they'd served it to me. And here's the thing Becca didn't know. Her application had been rejected 5 days ago. I knew because the program director mentioned it in my welcome email. I stepped outside to catch my breath. My phone buzzed. A text from Dr. Lillian Marks, my mentor. "Hannah, reminder. Orientation is Sept 14. Can't wait to celebrate with you before you leave. You've earned this." My hands were shaking. I called her. "What's wrong?" she asked immediately. "Are you okay?" I told her everything. The seating, the photos, the apron. Dr. Marks was furious. "You don't owe them silence. You've worked too hard to let them erase you." "I know," I said quietly. "Then don't let them." I hung up and walked back inside. The living room was loud with laughter. I heard Becca talking to our cousins. "Hannah will probably live here forever. No ambition, no life. It's kind of sad." My uncle laughed. "At least she can babysit when you're off in Europe." My mother was bragging to a group of guests near the fireplace. "Becca's fellowship will change her life. We always knew she was destined for greatness." My father nodded. "Thank God one of our daughters has drive." I stood in the doorway listening. Then my mother said it. "Hannah's just there. You know? She exists, but she doesn't really do anything." My hands trembled. I walked to the kitchen counter and pulled out Dr. Marks's congratulatory card. I placed it on the marble surface. Then I waited. They brought out a second cake. Becca stood at the center of the room, surrounded by candles and family. My father raised his glass again. "One more toast to our shining star." I stood up. "Actually, I'd like to say something. Becca rolled her eyes. Hannah, we already did toasts. I kept my voice calm, steady. This won't take long. The room went quiet. All eyes on me. Some annoyed, some curious. I looked at Becca. You talked a lot tonight about your fellowship application. The fashion journalism program in Geneva, right? She crossed her arms. Yeah, and I'm going to get it. What's your point? I'm sure you tried really hard, I said. It's an incredibly competitive program. Why are you even bringing this up? I pulled the acceptance letter from my bag. Because I was accepted. To the same organization. The Biomedical Research Division. Silence. Dead. Shocked silence. My mother's face went white. What are you talking about? I unfolded the letter and read aloud. Dear Ms. Hannah Garrett, we are pleased to inform you of your acceptance to the International Biomedical Research Fellowship. You were selected from over 3,000 applicants. Becca's face drained of color. I continued. I start in 3 weeks. Full funding. 3-year placement. Geneva. My father just stared. You applied? I didn't just apply. I was published. I was nominated. I was chosen. Becca's voice shook. That's not... I applied to that organization. They didn't... I looked at her gently. I know. The director mentioned your application was declined. I'm sorry. The words my family had thrown at me all night echoed back. Boring. No ambition. Doesn't do anything. My aunt scrambled to recover. Well, why didn't you tell us? I met her eyes. Because every time I tried to talk about my work, I was told I was boring. Every achievement I mentioned, I was told to stop showing off or bringing down the mood. My mother tried to speak. Hannah, we didn't mean... Yes, you did. And that's okay. I don't need your approval anymore. I placed the letter on the coffee table. Next to it, my published research article, my orientation packet. Becca turned and stormed out of the room. My father followed her, speechless. I stood there, shoulders back, no longer invisible. I left the party 5 minutes later. No big exit, no slamming doors. I just walked out. My mother tried to call me back. I didn't turn around. I drove home, hands steady for the first time all night. Over the next few days, my phone exploded. Texts, calls, voicemails, apologies, excuses, sudden attempts to celebrate me. I responded once. I appreciate the messages, but I need space. I'll reach out when I'm ready. 2 weeks later, I packed my apartment. My mother asked to meet for coffee. Just her. Not my father. Not Becca. We sat across from each other in a quiet cafe. She gave me a half apology. We just didn't realize you were doing all this. I looked at her. You didn't ask. She had nothing to say to that. There was no reconciliation, but no bitterness either. Just clarity. At the airport, I boarded my flight to Geneva. I looked down at my boarding pass and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Lightness. For the first time in my life, their silence didn't hurt me. It freed me. I finally understood I never needed their approval to matter. I'd always mattered. They just weren't looking. If this story hit home, I need you to do something. Hit that subscribe button right now. Have you ever been underestimated by the people who were supposed to support you? Drop your story in the comments below. I'm reading every single one, and your experience matters. Tell me where you're watching from. Whether you're the overlooked daughter, the dismissed sibling, or the one who finally proved them all wrong. Your voice deserves to be heard. Let's build this community together.